who they are.
Well, speaking of players that are moving over to Valorant, we have yet another Overwatch player, an Overwatch star, actually, that is moving over. We've talked at length about Sinatra. You can find that in our archives. The next one is Corey, also an Overwatch World Cup winner with Team USA. One of the stars of the league decided, I'm done. I'm going to Valorant. And now the question becomes, where could he end up? What is next for Corey? Jacob, have you heard anything at all? And let's speculate. Let's think of some good landing spots for Corey in Valorant.
I feel like he'll end up on. A team with that is not yet in the game. Now, here's the interesting thing. What I haven't heard is whether the same rules for Sinatra will apply to him. I would think they will. I think they will. I could see him be on like a C9 or something, one of those types orgs. But the thing is, if you remember with Sinatra had limited options in Valorant because basically there's like a world where you don't want Overwatch League teams poaching players from one another, even if it's cross-game.
Yeah.
So if you are signing a retired Overwatch pro from the Washington Justice to Cloud9, who own the London Spitfire, there's a big wall there that the Overwatch League would get onto both parties about. So I think that we will see him be like the star of a new team, or sort of at least the name of a big team. I don't know like how. I know he's good at Valorant, but I don't know if he'll be like the best player on his team in Valorant, depending on what he ends up with. But I definitely think he will be like the name on the team of wherever he ends up. But his options are kind of limited here. Yeah, there are a few that kind of come to mind that I could see entering space, like TSM and some others who don't have Overwatch League affiliations, but. Like Corey has a fantastic reputation among OWL people and OWL executives, which would be great to his benefit. But I do think that I could see OWL enforcing that rule that got Sinatra also.
I think the thing with the Overwatch League is, let's say you're a team that's in Overwatch League and you want Corey for your Valorant team. Would Blizzard do anything? Because let's talk right now. Overwatch League is not doing that great. It's not in the tip top condition. It feels like they need the owners.
Tyler, on what grounds are you saying that?
I mean, at this point, though, I feel like you have to, because it was already reported that Sinatra didn't have those same options. So to not hold, like, they're kind of, even if they do want to be like, oh, okay, we're going to, like, loosen up the restrictions or whatever, because the Sinatra deal already went through and it was reported that those were the stipulations, you can't walk that back for Corey without also looking really bad.
Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time Overwatch Leagues looked bad this year, so.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I think in the next few months. But.
I know that there's many teams who are very into Corey, and it's not just because of his aim, and he has incredible aim, and he's a very proficient player. And I think the main thing that I've heard most about teams who've been looking at Corey is that he is a very likable person. And I think that you will see a through line with most of these teams. T1, Mouse Paz with the Wardell 5-stack, who do not want to, break up. They want to be signed as a 5-person organ or a 5-man unit, is because communication and chemistry is very important in shooting games, especially Valorant, where you have to trust one another. And from every point of view I've heard about Corey is that he's an amazing teammate, not just in Overwatch League, but some of the players he's been playing with, from other teams who might be looking at him have all pretty much said he's a really awesome player to play with, and he's a really great personality. So
I think there's a little bit of stigma around Overwatch players coming into the game, just more generally. The fact that they may not be as good of performers as CS players or some of the other FPS games. And look, I think there is a large discrepancy between your skills in Overwatch and the way you have to play to be good at Valorant, right? I do think that Counter-Strike's obviously the closest one to that, but I do think that like Apex and some of the others are a little bit closer to Valorant than Overwatch is. So I do think that there are executives that think that Overwatch players are going to cost a lot of money and maybe not show the exact right returns. But to Tyler's point, I do think Corey's reputation precedes him in a positive way. I think a lot of people think very highly of him, and like I've talked to a lot of people around the Washington Justice. I know a fair amount of people over there, and like no one said anything negative ever. Not just now as he's looking for a new job, but like even before he had his breakout moments last year, like everyone was like, man, this guy's like, he's really well behaved. He really is like a buttoned up dude, like very mature. I think that's like a pretty well known thing among esports execs is that he's a good dude.
One quick story just to complement that. At the Overwatch World Cup at BlizzCon this past year, after Team USA won the gold medal, they all did a press conference, and media's there asking questions, etc. There was one media member that had one last question, but by then people were leaving. Corey actually saw this person and turned around, like they had already left, and he caught this person out of the corner of his eye. So he turned around to get that person's question to make sure that they got to ask their question before he left. And that, you don't really see that much, you know what I mean? Like, to first of all notice the person, but second of all to decide, wait a minute, just give me a couple minutes to go back and make sure this person gets their question answered, that just speaks to the kind of person that Corey is. Speaking of